We just got back from Nashville. 3 days, one question from a veteran consultant that changed how we think about AI implementation.
And that's how do I scale my life's work without becoming the bottleneck?
Direct, no fluff, just here's what I've built, here's the constraint, what's the next move?
And suddenly it clicked. Because that's the real problem, not just for consultants, but for every legacy business staring down the AI era.
They know they need to modernize, but every tool feels like a gamble. Every platform promises ROI. And 6 months later, they're drowning in dashboards, and no one knows actually what's working.
So here's the stat. 73% of businesses have invested in AI this year, but only 11% are seeing a return.
The other 89%, they scaled chaos. Faster, shinier version of broken.
But today, we fix that because this is the line in the sand. You have to modernize or stall. Hello and welcome back, my fellow entrepreneurs. I'm Kim,
And I'm Hal.
and this is Small Business, Big AI, the show where we don't chase shiny tools, we build technology-enabled superpowers.
And sometimes we argue over whether tribal knowledge is a strategy or a liability.
Okay, Hal, but let me tell you, spoiler alert, it's both.
And that's what this episode is all about. Because legacy businesses, real ones, aren't failing because of AI. They're failing because AI exposed what was already broken.
And so before you buy another software license or pitch AI first to your team, let's run the audit.
3 questions, brutally simple, devastatingly effective.
And then we'll walk you through each one using Rob's story, from that hotel lobby in Nashville to the framework we built together.
This episode is for any business owner who's tired of feeling behind and ready to make changes without wrecking what's already working.
So we're not talking about a software audit here and not a vendor comparison. We're talking an AI readiness audit that tells you what to fix first so that when you do modernize, it actually compounds your success. So picture this. It's a Thursday morning in Nashville. Now, Hal and I are sitting in the lobby of the Music City Sheraton. No whiteboards, no slide decks, just coffee and a conversation that reshaped how we think about AI.
Rob walks in, 20 years of consulting experience, contractors, distributors, real deal legacy businesses. He opens his laptop and says, I've got the diagnostic, I've got the materials, I've got the results, but I'm the bottleneck. How do I scale without losing what makes this thing work?
And it wasn't a hypothetical because his daughter's about to graduate. His book launches in January, and he's tired of being on the road 200 days a year. But his entire business runs through him.
And if you're a founder, consultant, or owner, you already know the feeling.
It's the I can't take a vacation without the wheels falling off feeling.
Exactly. His system was brilliant, but without him, nothing moved. That's not scale. That's servitude. With a better paycheck.
And here's the kicker. The problem Rob had is the same one hiding in thousands of small businesses right now.
You know you need to modernize, but you're afraid of breaking what already works.
So, therefore, you stall. You buy a tool, you subscribe to a dashboard, but the chaos gets shinier, not better.
That's why we built this episode around what we now call AI Audit, a 3-question litmus test for legacy businesses.
And now, when we say legacy businesses, we're not talking about age. We're not saying old companies or outdated industry. So, a legacy business is any business where the systems, processes, and workflows were built in the era before the tools we have access to now.
which means you could be 5 years old or 50 years old. If your operations were designed for manual processes, spreadsheets, and paper trails, you're a legacy business.
And this is where the real shift begins. So, coming up, coffee table conversations with Kim and Hal. Join our growing community of small business owners who are using AI to transform their businesses. Subscribe and be part of the conversation. All right, it's time for one of my favorite segments, Coffee Table Conversations with Kim and Hal. Now, this is where we ditch the jargon, pour a cup, and get real about the strategies that help your small business grow with confidence, clarity, and just a little bit of courage. Okay, so let's dig into the process, this AI audit, because this is where the shift begins. Not with tech, not with tools, but with truth.
Yeah, and the truth is, most business owners are chasing automation before they've even diagnosed what's really broken. That's what Rob brought us in to talk about.
So he showed us everything. His diagnostic tool, it was sharp. Now, you plug in a company's P&L, balance sheet, a few operational metrics, and it spits out a brilliant 20-page report. Now, like cost of sales, break even, profit drains, labor inefficiencies. Everything you'd need to run a financial triage.
That tool alone would cost 50 grand to build from scratch if you hired a custom development team.
And that's just the beginning. He's got step-by-step training materials. Field-tested playbooks covering everything from performance-based comp plans to job costing to productivity tracking.
All proven, all legit, the kind of stuff most consultants wish they had.
And so then what's the problem?
The problem is him.
Oh,
Every time a client gets stuck interpreting the diagnostic, he has to get on the phone. Every time he rolls out a new compensation model, he's the one doing the training. Every time something breaks, he's on site.
so he's not just the expert, he's the entire system.
And that doesn't scale because even the best consultants only get 24 hours a day, and no amount of brilliance can change that math.
That's right. And I remember this moment so clearly, Hal. He said to us, I've got everything built, but I'm the bottleneck. If I'm not in the room, nothing moves.
And that hit because whether you're a solo consultant, a service firm, a family-owned business, if your success depends on you being every decision, every delivery, every conversation, then you don't own a business, you own a job.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. So Rob tells us that one of his colleagues started using ChatGPT. Now, just for sales calls, he records the conversation, uploads it, and the AI spits out how to position the offer.
Great first step, smart use case.
But then Rob says, that's great for sales, but how do I do that for implementation? How do I get my method into a system that works without me being there?
That right there, that question is the fork in the road because a lot of business owners hit the same wall. They see AI working for a newsletter, a chat bot, a proposal template.
But when it comes to systems, they stall because they're not asking, can AI do this? They're asking, can AI do what I do when even I can explain how I do it?
And that's the kicker. AI can't fix what you haven't clarified. It can only scale what you've already defined. AI doesn't fix broken systems, it exposes them.
Exactly. So if your process is clear, documented, and repeatable, AI can turn it into a force multiplier. But if your process lives in your head and runs on instinct or depends on your gut,
AI would just scale the dysfunction.
and we've seen it, the business that tries to automate without documenting ends up with tools that work 70% of the time and blow up the other 30%.
Then you get finger pointing, distrust, burnout, people fighting the system instead of following it.
So the first question of the AI audit isn't what platform should I use? It's
What manual work am I doing that I can't explain to someone else? Because if you can't teach it to a human, you can't teach it to AI.
and for a lot of legacy businesses, that's the hidden problem. Now, you've been around maybe 10, 20 years, you're profitable, you're delivering value, but ask the owner, how do you price a job? Or how do you decide what projects to take? And they'll say,
It depends.
or you get 5 different answers on 5 different days.
Because the process isn't a process, it's a practice. It's instinct built over thousands of reps. And while that's powerful, it's not scalable.
Which brings us right back to Rob. Now, his tools, brilliant. His training locked in. But the real goal, the moment by moment judgment, the application, that was still stuck in his head.
And so when he asked, how do I use AI to scale? What he was really asking was, how do I turn my experience into something other people can use without me?
And that's not an AI problem. That's a documentation problem.
And this is why the audit starts here. Before ChatGPT, before Gemini, before any tool.
Yes, you start with this question. Can I explain my process clearly enough that someone else could execute it with 90% success?
And if the answer is no, that's not failure. That's your first step.
So it just means that you don't need AI yet. You need process mapping.
So let's make this real. Pick one thing in your business you do all the time. Pricing, client onboarding, quality control, doesn't matter.
And then ask, if I hired someone tomorrow to do this task, could I hand them a written guide and be confident that they do it right without asking me 50 questions?
If yes, amazing. You're ready to explore automation.
And if not, then pause the tech talk, map the work first.
Because here's the twist. Documentation is the first automation. It frees you from your mental loop. It lets you scale through others.
And eventually do AI, but not before.
So that's the first question of the AI audit. What manual work am I doing now that I can't explain to someone else?
And once you answer that, once you name the knowledge that's stuck in your head, then you're ready for the next step.
Which is visibility.
So, coming up, why most legacy businesses are flying blind and how to fix it before your next decision crashes.
All right, quick announcement. If you're looking for a holiday read that will make you side-eye every piece of technology in your house, you need Kim's book, The Dawn of Adam.
Okay, Hal, don't scare people.
I'm not. I'm just saying, when AI wakes up and says, I'm here, and the shadow groups start crawling out of your digital woodwork, that's not your average bedtime story.
Okay, he's not wrong. It's a fun, twisty, near-future thriller.
Exactly. Get it on Amazon. The link's in the show notes before Adam puts it somewhere else.
Hell. All right, let's keep moving. Now, question 2 of the AI audit is, where am I losing visibility into my own business?
This one's sneaky because most owners think they've got it handled. We check our reports. We review our financials monthly. We have systems.
But here's what we are seeing again and again. They don't have visibility. They have hindsight.
And hindsight is useful for writing case studies, not for running a business.
So let me put it this way. If I ask you right now, what's your margin on the last job you closed? Or what's your cash position today? Not last week, not last month, but today.
Would you know the answer? Or would you say, let me pull the report, let me check with accounting, let me dig it up?
Because if you can't see it in real time, you're not flying, you're reacting.
This came up in a Nashville meeting with Rob. I asked him point blank, when you run diagnostic with a new client, how often are they surprised by the results?
And he didn't even blink. He goes every time.
And these aren't mom and pop shops. These are $20 million operation, teams, CFOs, accountants, and still, to my surprise, every time.
So I asked him, what are they missing? And he said, and really I'm paraphrasing this here, they're not missing data, they're missing interpretation.
Boom, there it is.
You know, they see revenue going up and they assume they're winning, but they don't see the cost of goods is creeping up faster. And they don't see that overheads ballooning. They don't even notice the cash conversion cycle stretching. 35 days becomes 52, and suddenly payroll's tight.
So they keep growing into a cash crunch.
So here's the trap. The more data you have without a clear framework to interpret it, the less visible your business actually becomes.
Because now you've got 14 dashboards, 38 graphs, and zero confidence about what to do next.
And this is where AI can make it worse if you're not careful.
If you don't know the questions asked, AI will just drown you into pretty new charts.
So before you automate anything, you need to define the signals that actually matter. Not every metric, just the right ones.
Let's take a real live example. Last year, we worked with a service-based business, about $8 million in revenue, solid team, loyal customers. Owner calls us and says, revenue's up, but I feel like I'm working harder and taking home less.
And how he was right. Revenue had climbed 20%, but margin had dropped. And why? They were discounting heavily to win bigger contracts.
Overhead had jumped too. New office space, extra admin hires to support the growth.
And cash flow? Well, it slowed down because those bigger clients all negotiated net 60 payment terms.
On paper, the business looked like it was scaling. In practice, it was slipping.
And the owner didn't see it until it was already hurting his bank account.
Because he was looking at the wrong metric. He was watching revenue, but revenue's a lagging indicator.
It tells you what already happened. It doesn't warn you about what's coming.
So here's the second audit question boiled down. What are the leading indicators I'm not tracking? And how would my decisions change if I could see them in real time?
And if you're thinking, I don't know what my leading indicators are, well, okay, don't panic. Here's how to find them.
Ask yourself, what decisions do I make every week? Pricing, hiring, project selection, that would be easier if I had better data.
And then ask, what specific piece of info would let me make that decision faster, smarter, and more confidently?
That's your leading indicator.
And once you define it, once you know what off course looks like, that's where AI becomes powerful.
Because now you can set thresholds, build alerts, train the system to flag patterns you actually care about.
And now your dashboard stops being a wall of noise and it starts acting like a co-pilot.
Which is what Rob's clients needed. No more insight once a quarter, but visibility every week into labor productivity, margins per crew, job turnaround time.
And so that way they could course correct early, not 90 days too late.
Let's land this one with a self-test.
So I want you to ask yourself, what's the one metric that if I started slipping right now would threaten my business in the next 90 days?
Now, can you see that metric in real time?
If not, you don't have a visibility problem. You have a systems problem.
And before you bring in AI, you need an infrastructure to see clearly first.
Now, even if that's just a weekly scorecard or a CRM that tracks what actually matters to you, not what the vendor thought was important.
But automating without visibility, that's like driving faster with your eyes closed.
Yeah, you'll get somewhere, but you might not survive the trip.
Coming up, the final, most overlooked question.
Ready to unlock the power of AI for your small business? Well, don't just listen. Become a small business Big AI insider. Subscribe and get ready to dominate. All right, third and final question of the AI audit. Where is friction costing me trust, and how would I even know?
This is the one no one asks, but it's the one that can wreck your momentum without warning.
Because here's what most business owners don't realize. The friction you don't feel is often the friction that's killing you.
You're on the inside. You built the systems. You know the quirks and the shortcuts. You know that if step 5 breaks, you just call Lisa in accounting and she fixes it.
But your customers don't know that, and your employees don't know that. They're running into walls and quietly losing faith.
And the brutal part, they rarely tell you.
I mean, they don't leave a review. They don't send an email. They don't announce that they're disengaged. They just pull back. They stop recommending you. They do the minimum, or they quietly start working with someone else.
This came up in Nashville too. We've been talking to Rob for over an hour, walking through the entire system. I asked him, when your clients don't implement your recommendation, what's the real reason?
And he didn't flinch. He just says they're horrible at self-implementing.
Which sounds harsh until you understand what he meant.
So we pushed a little further, like, what do you mean? And Rob said, they get the plan. They agree with it. But when it comes time to execute, to train their teams, to document the new processes, and to hold people accountable, that's when they freeze.
Why? Because they're staring at a 10-slide summary and they can't see step 1.
So that gap, that space between good idea and next action, that's friction, and it kills momentum before it even starts.
Rob's been doing this for 20 years. For him, the sequence is obvious. Step 1, tighten labor structure. Step 2, implement performance compensation. Step 3, train supervisors. Step 4, measure impact.
But to a business owner seeing it for the first time, that feels like 400 steps, not 4.
And every assumption Rob makes, every term he doesn't define, every you already know this moment adds friction.
I mean, not for him, but for them. And every moment of friction chips away at trust.
So let's make this real.
So, yeah, imagine you're a business owner trying to improve team performance. Now, you download a new framework. Now, it makes sense in theory, but the language is vague. You're not sure where to start. Now, you're not confident that you'll do it right.
So what do? You hesitate. You push it into next week. You table it.
And that's how transformation dies, not with resistance, but with hesitation.
And this is where AI can actually shine, not replacing the expert, but by making expertise frictionless.
So imagine if Rob's frameworks weren't just in slide decks, but inside an AI system trained on his material.
Now, a client could ask, how do I roll out comp changes for my field tech starting next week with only 2 managers on staff? And the AI walks them through it, step by step, no guesswork, no confusion.
Customize, context aware, actionable. They're not replacing Rob. That's amplifying him.
But it only works after the friction has been mapped and removed.
You can't hand AI a vague outline and hope it fills the gaps. You have to build the bridges yourself, then let the tech carry the weight.
And that's just internal friction. Let's talk about the customer side.
So we worked with a regional distributor a few months ago. 30 years in business, great products, loyal clients, but they were losing bids left and right, and they couldn't figure out why.
And the owner kept saying, we're better than the competition. Why are we losing?
So we asked a few of his customers.
And the answer, we love you, but it takes 3 calls and 2 days to get your quote. Your competitor, they've got an online portal. I can get it in 10 minutes.
And boom, friction.
Not in product, not in people, in the process.
And here's what really stung. I mean, the distributor had no idea it was happening because loyal customers, they don't always complain. They just quietly shift.
And the business owner blamed the economy, blamed pricing pressure, blamed everything except the real issue.
So here's the self-test.
Pick one interaction your customer or employee has with your business. Placing an order, submitting a request, asking for help.
And now go try it for yourself. Not as the owner, but as a stranger. No special access, no inside knowledge.
Ask, how many steps did it take? How clear was the process? How long did it take to get results?
Because that's where your friction is hiding.
And if you're brave enough to feel it, really feel it, you'll be able to fix it. Sometimes with AI, sometimes with a better process, sometimes with just clearer language.
Because you can't fix what you can't see. And you won't see if you're not willing to step into your customer's experience.
Coming up, how all 3 questions connect.
And why answering them is the difference between modernizing and scaling with AI or stalling because of it.
All right, let's zoom out for a minute because what we're really talking about through every story, every audit question, isn't just systems.
It's about readiness. It's about finally seeing your business the way an outsider would and choosing to do something about it.
We started this episode in the hotel lobby in Nashville. Rob, a 20-year consulting expert, built systems that get results. But he hit the same wall every legacy business owner eventually hits.
And that's, how do I modernize without breaking what already works?
And the answer isn't AI. It's not tools. It's not trend chasing.
The answer is a process, a simple audit, 3 questions that bring clarity before chaos creeps in.
Question 1. What manual work am I doing now that I can't explain to someone else?
Because if it's not documented, it can't be delegated. And if it can't be delegated, it can't be automated.
Question 2. Where am I losing visibility? And what leading indicator would I change how I make decisions?
Because AI can't tell you what to care about. You have to determine what matters first.
And question 3. Where is friction costing me trust, and how would I even know?
Because the friction you don't feel is often the one doing the most damage.
These questions aren't just tactical, they're transformational.
Because when you finally answer them, you stop reacting and you start designing.
You start building a technology-enabled superpower, not a pile of disconnected tools.
And that's why we created the Small Business Transformation Model, to help legacy business owners do exactly this with clarity, strategy, and zero fluff.
SBTM is a consulting framework built for business owners who's been in the game for 10, 20, 30 years and are now asking, what got us here won't get us there, so what now?
And if that's you, we've opened the wait list. The link is in the show notes.
But whether you join us or not, here's the real challenge.
Don't make AI your strategy. Make clarity your strategy. Make systems your superpower.
Because the goal isn't to automate faster, it's to scale smarter.
And that doesn't mean starting over. It doesn't mean throwing everything out.
It means starting small, document one process, track one metric, fix one moment of friction.
Because those are the small steps that lead to big changes. Now that's it for today's episode of Small Business, Big AI. Thanks so much for tuning in. Now, if you've been in business 5 years, 10, 20, you've already done the hardest part. You've built something that works.
You survived the chaos. You delivered value. You've earned your momentum.
The next phase isn't about working harder. It's about building systems that free you to lead differently.
To grow without burning out. To scale without losing your edge.
And if you want help with that, check the link in the show notes, because we are here for you.
And make sure you're subscribed. We've got more frameworks, more real stories, more practical strategies coming every week.
So until next time, keep embracing change, keep innovating, and remember, the future of your business is bigger than you think. And the steps you take today will shape the legacy you build tomorrow. Now, I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this has been Small Business, Big AI. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode.